In the wake of the deadly Uvalde, Texas school shooting, the one, as you know, that killed 19 students and 2 teachers, lawmakers in Ohio and Louisiana are now considering new legislation that would arm teachers and school staff with firearms. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine told ABC News he looks forward to signing the bill that would shorten the amount of training required for teachers and staff to carry guns inside schools from 150 hours to fewer than 30 hours. House Bill 99 would also create a training team to partner with schools to improve school safety. So, to discuss more on this approach to the problem of gun violence in schools, we're joined by Scott Dimauro. He's the president of the Ohio Education Association. He's urging the governor to veto this legislation. Doesn't sound like he's gonna, but Scott, thank you very much for being here. It's an important issue, and as I say, you know, people are looking for approaches. People are looking for answers. And so where do Ohio teachers, the Ohio Education Association, stand on more teachers having firearms available to them in case?
Well, we have real concerns that as we see these mass school shootings, rather than addressing the root of the problem and enacting common sense gun safety measures to keep guns out of the hands of people who are proving to be dangerous, that instead there's a quick fix solution to make it easier to arm teachers who already have so much on their plates. We've been on the front lines of the COVID pandemic. We're dealing with all the inequity issues in our schools, and now being asked to serve in a dual role where we're both educating children and responsible for armed security, I think it's just unreasonable. Now, if a local community in Ohio decides that they want to pursue that policy for whatever reason, at very least, we would expect our leaders to have training requirements that meet the needs of our communities. And 24 hours just does not cut it.
That makes sense. I mean, you have to look after a classroom, all these children, and they're saying 24 hours of gun training is enough to bring into a school. I mean, critics, as you know, are out there saying that this idea is just crazy, that teachers have enough to worry about. This isn't the job that they signed up for. Many of them don't even like guns. The last thing that there needs to be is more guns in schools. So what do you say to those who are pushing for this and saying, oh, it's what you need to do?
I think what we really need to do is entrust people who are professionals to do their jobs. And sometimes we see that even people with all their training who are experts when it comes to law enforcement and security still have a hard time when encountering these high capacity weapons like we saw sadly in Texas. Let's let teachers do their jobs and teach and focus on nurturing the needs of their students. Let's make sure that every single school has the resources that they need to support not just academic learning, but the social and emotional needs of kids, including addressing mental health needs of our staff and our students in our schools. Let's not ask teachers and other school employees to take on even more responsibilities in fighting against, gun violence.
Yeah, and Scott, as I said, in the wake of this yet another horrific instance of children in school being killed, it does feel like there's a grasping. We got to find an answer, and I do want to read a response from Governor DeWine to ABC News on this bill. He writes, last week I called on the General Assembly to pass a bill that would allow local school districts, if they so chose, to designate armed staff for school security and safety. My office worked with the General Assembly to remove hundreds of hours of curriculum irrelevant to school safety, he says, and to ensure training requirements were specific to a school environment and contain significant scenario-based training. House Bill 99 accomplishes these goals, and I thank the General Assembly for passing this bill to protect Ohio children and teachers. I look forward to signing this important legislation. So that's Governor DeWine. He adds some wrinkles in there. They're going to eliminate curriculum that he and the legislature have judged is not relevant to schools. But the bottom line is that they're sticking with this, that what needs to happen to prevent gun violence in schools is more guns in schools in what they argue is the right hands.
Yeah, it's been frustrating watching the governor on this. First off, when Mike DeWine was Attorney General of Ohio, the Ohio Peace Officer Training Commission, under his leadership, came out with a standard of 150 hours of training. That standard was never implemented. And so it's frustrating to see him going back on what law enforcement at the time said was necessary. Even Florida has a requirement of 132 hours compared to 24 hours. You just see what a joke the 24 hours is. And then the other thing about Governor DeWine that's really frustrating is just to see how he has refused time and again to stand up to the gun lobby and stand up to extremists in his party. A few years ago, when there was a mass shooting in Dayton, he came out with a whole series of recommendations, including red flag laws and universal background checks. And when he got resistance in the legislature, he abandoned that and instead took the quick fix solution of saying, let's just make it easier to arm teachers. I think it's pretty disappointing, to say the least.
So as we follow this, what would you like to see done on a federal level?
Well, I would certainly hope that you would see Congress pass common sense gun safety laws, including universal background checks, including looking at age requirements for the purchase of weapons, how an 18-year-old can get a hold of a semi-automatic rifle, I think is a question that everybody should be asking themselves, including red flag laws. All of those things are important. Remember, schools don't exist in a vacuum. You can't talk about school safety without talking about the safety of everybody in the community. So let's do that. And then also, I think Congress and legislators at the state level really need to invest to make sure every school has the resources they need to ensure that every student is safe.
Great conversation, Scott Dimauro. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.